I'm Jolie.
And I'm Charlie.
And welcome to Teatime Talks, the Language Attics weekly podcast to help your English listening skills, where we talk about anything and everything. This week, we thought it'd be really cool to talk about our favourite Christmas childhood memories. So, Christmas is a very pivotal point of your childhood in Britain, I would say. So I have a lot of memories attached to Christmas. Would you say the same?
Yeah, for sure. I have a lot of memories and also like a lot of traditions that began in my childhood, I think. So I definitely do think it's a very important time, and since it's December now, it's a great time to talk about Christmas.
So Christmas for us in Britain begins, I would say, on the 1st of December. That is the first day of Advent. I would say more recently, in the last couple decades, really, Christmas has started earlier. You tend to find straight after Halloween, Christmas decorations start coming out. A lot of people start getting decorated for Christmas. Now, I love Christmas, so I don't have a problem with that. Some people do. Some people think it is way too early to start decorating in November.
I'm one of those people.
I do not agree. I think Christmas, I love it so much that I do not mind it coming in a month early. I tend to decorate, I would say, around the end of November. So my mum's birthday is the 27th, so it has always been a rule that we cannot decorate before then. But as soon as that happens, I tend to go straight to decorating. 28th, 29th, 30th is when I normally put up the Christmas tree. Would you say that's the same in your household? Are you a late decorator, an early decorator?
My mum she follows the kind of traditional rules very strictly, I'd say.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what the date is, but it's usually around like the 12th, the 13th.
Yeah.
Where I think traditionally is when you're sort of meant to put things up. And so that is when we put the Christmas tree and all the decorations up in my house.
I would agree. There is a tradition that you put the Christmas decorations up 12 days before Christmas, which we celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December. So 12 days before then, and they stay up 12 days after.
Yeah.
And then you put them away. I think that's kind of lost now. I don't think that's really followed strictly, but I do think some households still follow it. We tend to put our Christmas decorations down New Year's Eve.
Oh, that's quite early.
I feel like I've never really wanted the Christmas decorations up in the new year. For me, new year, new start. I don't know. We tend to, our Christmas Eve activity on the daytime is normally to put the Christmas decorations away.
That's very interesting. I don't know how common that is, but I feel like maybe because our start time in my household is different, like I guess our Christmas sort of festive vibes in our house start a bit later, so it makes sense that they also end a bit later. And in my head, Christmas and New Year's are so like, they're so close together that they're kind of like one joint week-long celebration, I guess, in my head.
100%.
So to me, it feels quite natural leaving the Christmas tree up until a bit after New Year.
I do still think and celebrate Christmas after the 25th. So from the 25th to New Year's Eve, that is still Christmas.
Yeah.
The decorations are still up. The films are still being watched. But as soon as it hits New Year's Eve, as soon as those Christmas decorations go down, it's like, okay, Christmas has ended. But do you have any memories of decorating for Christmas? What is your earliest Christmas memory, would you say?
The earliest one I can specifically think of was when I made some of the decorations, and we actually still have them. We still put them up every year. I think one year my mom got this, I guess, like, craft kit where you get some felt shaped, some are green, some are red. Some of them are shaped like Santa, some of them are shaped like Christmas pudding, like snowflakes and things like that. And you get some like sequins, some glitter, some like little things that you can stick on them. And so I decorated them with that. And, you know, you can like hang them on like hooks and like put them on top of something or on your tree, I guess, if you want. So in my house, I remember making those, and then we have a large mirror above the fireplace in my house. And every Christmas we still do this, we still hang them up. So even though I made them when I was probably about 6 or 7, they're still going strong.
I do think one of my first Christmas memories also is making Christmas decorations at primary school. It is definitely something that everyone does, every British child will do. In fact, I also think we still have a Christmas decoration I made in the shape of a bell, which has my like a picture of me in it. And it's decorated with pasta, as it always was in primary school.
Yeah.
That is probably also one of my first Christmas memories. I think one of my very vivid Christmas memories is one of my earliest, and that is driving in the snow to visit family on Christmas Day, listening to Christmas music. I remember we had the big bag of presents in the back. And I would say that's probably one of my first, if not my first Christmas memory. And I adore it so much because it's, again, a time that I will never get to experience again.
Yeah.
And also just snowing. It doesn't snow here anymore. I mean, climate change, but...
Climate change.
Yeah, just back then it was it felt Christmassy. There was snow, there was frost, there was warmth of going inside and being like, oh, we're in the warm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it doesn't really feel like that. You don't really get snow anymore.
That's very true now that you mention it, because another memory I have from quite early, I must have probably been like 6 or something, was walking to my nan's house in the snow. Because in my family we have like, well, at least me and my parents, every Christmas we'd go to my nan's house and visit my nan and granddad and, you know, get their presents and have some food. And it's not that far from my house, it's probably like a 15-minute walk. And so I remember one Christmas we walked to her house, and I just remember the snow was so thick. And I really specifically remember exactly what street I was on when that happened. And that it's very rare that there's snow on Christmas now, which I think is kind of sad, because when we think of Christmas, we think of snow.
It's, you know, the postcard version of Christmas where it's snowing and it's all white and icy, and it doesn't really happen like that anymore, which is kind of sad. But yeah, I definitely remember, as I said, going to visit family on Christmas Day. I'd say in Britain that is very popular. That is the thing we do. Christmas Day, you wake up. Let's go through our Christmas days.
Yeah.
So as a child, I would say it's relatively stayed the same since then. I wake up, I open my presents with my parent, and then when I was a child, once the presents had been opened, we'd get picked up by my nan and granddad, and we'd go and drive and visit family, and we'd spend the rest of Christmas Day there, have Christmas dinner, again, see extended family, cousins, aunties, uncles. That was kind of our Christmas Day. Come home, watch TV and play with your presents, as most people do. Would you say that's similar to what?
Quite similar, yeah. Especially, like, I feel like the morning, there's always the routine of you wake up immediately, present time.
Yeah, immediately.
Like, I'd maybe have some breakfast and then it's present time immediately. And then after that, my dad would usually tidy up, you know, all the wrapping paper and the sellotape and stuff like that. He that was his duty, was to collect everything.
My granddad's same, bin bag, ready to put the wrapping paper in. Yeah,
definitely. And then maybe for a little bit after that, maybe mess with some of the presents whilst my mum cooked like Christmas dinner. But in my household, Christmas dinner isn't really dinner, it's lunchtime.
No, it's the same. Because when in Britain, when we talk about Christmas dinner, it is kind of like Sunday dinner in that it's not actually evening when we eat it. It's normally around lunchtime.
Yeah.
And so our Christmas dinners are very similar to an American Thanksgiving dinner. We have a turkey traditionally. I mean, traditionally it was goose, I'm pretty sure. Very rich, but turkey is the main meat. Which honestly, I don't know anyone that enjoys the turkey.
I don't think I know many people who have turkey. In my house, we've always had chicken.
We don't have turkey anymore because it is expensive. And also no one really likes it. So we do tend to go for chicken or gammon, a gammon ham, which is my favourite. I think that nowadays people just tend to do what they want to do rather than go with tradition.
Yeah. And
I agree, because you know what, it's your Christmas Day. Do what you want. If you don't enjoy it, then don't do something else. I do think families, you know, every family has a different tradition. But stereotypically it is a turkey dinner with all the trimmings, potatoes, all the vegetables you can think of, mainly root vegetables, so like carrots, parsnips. Would you have broccoli?
Oh, I have broccoli, yes.
And then stuffing is also one. Pigs in blankets, which, if you do not know, pigs in blankets are small little sausages that are wrapped up in bacon, and they're very, very Christmas time food. They only come out at Christmas. People have them at Christmas. Yorkshire pudding. I know some people, I think there is a debate. Some people don't have Yorkshire puddings on their Christmas dinner, and I think that's very strange.
That is very strange to me. That just feels wrong.
Very wrong.
Very wrong. That's weird, yeah. Yeah, but that's basically what I have as well.
Yeah.
Just, the meat, the potatoes, the vegetables, the mint sauce.
It's a glorified Sunday roast.
It definitely is. It's a Sunday roast with a bit more character.
Yeah,
with a bit
100%.
more effort put into it.
And a bigger kind of gathering of people normally. And this is one thing which I haven't really ever thought about it, but there is very traditional British desserts for Christmas, but I don't think they're very popular. So we have in Britain, we have a Christmas cake and we have a Christmas pudding. Now, Christmas pudding is traditionally what you're supposed to have as dessert on a Christmas day. No one in my family bar my granddad likes Christmas pudding, so we do not have it. I would say another version is a trifle.
Oh, I have trifle.
I think a trifle is a very British Christmas dessert.
I would agree with that, because even if it's not Christmas, sometime towards New Year, usually on Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, I always have some sort of trifle that my mum makes. Which, if you don't know what trifle is, it's like jelly, custard, cream.
Yeah, so it's at the bottom layer is jelly, which normally has like bits of fruit in it sometimes. Then it's a layer of custard. Then it's a layer of like sponge fingers. And then it's cream on top. And sometimes, if it's a bit fancy, it'll have sherry jelly. But a trifle is, I think trifle is not known or written down as Christmas, but a lot of people have it at Christmas for a dessert, a trifle.
That is very true. I very rarely have trifle when it's not Christmas or New Year. And I do agree with you. I don't know if I've even ever had Christmas pudding before. It's not that popular.
So Christmas pudding is a very dense spiced cake that has currants and fruit in it, and it is a dome. And traditionally, you pour brandy over it and you light it, you set it on fire. And even more traditionally, a small sixpence, which is an old British coin, would be put inside the pudding, and whoever got the sixpence got the luck, essentially. You see Christmas puddings everywhere in supermarkets at Christmas. I don't enjoy them, personally. As I said, only one person in my family enjoys it, so we don't have it. But it is traditional.
It is very traditional. I mean, I don't know, I just remember when I was in school, I feel like whenever you were in primary school and it got towards Christmas, nothing productive was done. You would usually do some like colouring and like Christmassy things. And in all those like colouring sheets, there would always be like Christmas puddings and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're such a symbol of Christmas, even though I don't think I know anyone who actually has them.
Yeah, I do think that's a good point of like, as a child in a British primary school, Christmas is just a wonderful time of just craft and fun. You don't do any lessons really. You just colour in, you make Christmas decorations, you do Christmas like craft activities. I have lots of fond memories related to Christmas in primary school.
Yeah.
I remember having like a mini Christmas dinner, and it being snowy and playing outside, making snowmen, making these Christmas decorations, as you said, colouring in like sheets of Christmas puddings and Santa Clauses and reindeers, things like that. I do think that is a time a lot of British people hark back to. There's this nostalgia attached to British primary schools at Christmas that a lot of people hold dear to them.
Yeah, I think especially in sort of the mid-2000s, sort of our age being in primary school, we all have such this like collective memory of what we were doing then that it's really nostalgic. And yeah, I have similar memories where, I remember very specifically when I was in like year 2 or 3 of school, we had this booklet that our teacher gave each of us, and it had all sorts of activities like colouring in, word searches, all sorts of like puzzles and stories. And also when it snowed, which again it doesn't really do anymore, but at my primary school we had like a big hill on the field, and I don't think this would be allowed anymore, to be honest with you, but our school had some sleds, and so we would go up on the sleds and slide down the hill. It wasn't a small hill, which is why I think nowadays maybe it wouldn't be allowed, but I remember doing that and I remember it being really fun.
Yeah, I think there's just Christmas is such a big time in Britain and in schools, and it's just a really lovely time. I think there's so many, I would say most of my Christmas memories are back from that time.
Yeah.
And I never actually did it, but it's very traditional for the youngest year of primary school, which is called reception, or I called it foundation, or even it sometimes is nursery, which is like very, very small, like baby to like 3. They will put on a Christmas nativity play, so the story of Christmas, Mary and Joseph and the birth of Jesus Christ. So a lot of the time that will be like the pinnacle of celebration at Christmas in British primary schools is the nativity. Did you do a nativity? Or?
We definitely did one at my school, but I don't think I was involved in it. Okay. I think the only memory I have was when I was a little bit older watching it in our hall, watching someone else do it. But I do have a very specific memory of our Christmas assembly. So everyone gathers in the hall and the teachers do some sort of speech alongside the nativity. And I remember my assistant head teacher, every single year, I remember him doing this, where he would ask 2 kids to come up on the stage, and he would have like a bar of chocolate in one hand and an apple in the other, and he would say, okay, which one do you want? And obviously the kid would take the chocolate, but then the other kid who took the apple would turn the apple around and find out that there was like a hole in the apple and there was a £1 coin in there.
Oh.
And so it was, sort of teaching this message of, you can't judge by appearances, and sometimes taking the less fun route or the more healthy route can actually be good for you. And I I remember him doing that every year.
I've never heard of that before. That is so interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a tradition or if it was just him that did that, but I remember it so vividly.
I mean, it's a sign of the times that it was only £1. You could not get anything with £1 nowadays.
No, these days I'd be like, well, what's the rest of it?
Yeah.
Give me a £5.
So that's really interesting. Yeah, we had Christmas assemblies too. Which were normally just kind of like carols, sometimes a small little play, but I never actually got to do a nativity.
Me either. Although now that you mention the carols, that's reminding me of when I was in secondary school.
Yeah.
Because my secondary school also had a very specific thing that I did, which I think was mainly a my school thing on some level. But there was a church quite near to my high school, and so what we did was on the last day or whenever it was towards Christmas, they would take the entire school to this church. We'd all sit in the rows, and there'd be this like Christmas carol service, I guess.
We had a similar thing in primary school where we had a church around the corner from our school, which was kind of like paired with our school. It didn't have an affiliation, but we went there to do like harvest as well, things like that, and we went there and did a carol service. I also remember my year group specifically, and I don't know, I was in the choir when I was in primary school, and I remember we went to the old people's home that was round the corner from us, and we went and sang Christmas carols there. We also did something which I very rarely met anyone who understands or knows what this is, but in primary school we did something called Christingle.
Okay.
And it was, again, at this church, and it was a celebration. And basically we had an orange, which we tied a red ribbon around. And then we put cocktail sticks into the orange, which had, like, sultanas and raisins on the end. And then a candle in the middle of it. And we'd light the candle and sing carols. Christingle is a thing. I've never met anyone else who celebrated Christingle in primary school, but it was such a distinctive Christmas memory for me of doing this. And like, it's like the orange was like, I can't remember, but orange was either the world or Jesus or something. The red ribbon was Jesus' blood. The candle was like the light. It was religious affiliated, but I've never met anyone else that did that, but I remember doing that so distinctly and being in the church up on the like altar holding my Christingle and singing carols, and it's such a distinctive Christmas memory for me.
That does ring a bell. That does sound familiar. I don't think I did it in primary school, but something about having an orange with a candle in it sounds really familiar. I think maybe in my secondary school when we did that performance, I feel like sometimes they would, like, not everyone, but they would give people something to hold. And I feel like maybe they did that with the orange with the candle in, 'cause that sounds really familiar. That's so interesting.
So I would say those are my kind of core memories of Christmas in primary school, and also sending out Christmas cards.
Yeah.
You know, every Christmas you'd buy like a pack of small little Christmas cards, which at that time were probably like £1 for 30, and you would write a card to every person in your class, and put, you know, to blah 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 Merry Christmas from your name, and then you'd give them out, you know, and everyone would. So when I was a child, I had so many Christmas cards because I had about 29 off of all the other people in my class.
Yeah.
Which I don't have any people that I know who have children in school, so I don't know if that's still a thing. But it was very much a thing when we were in primary school.
Yeah, I definitely remember doing that. Like, you get the little kind of square pack of cards,
100%.
about 30 of them, because there's usually about 30 people in the class anyway. And so you'd write one to every single person in your class, and your teacher, and your assistant teacher, and like everyone you knew, because it was just so exciting back then.
Yeah, you wrote a card for everyone. The act of like going up to someone and being like, "Here's your card," was so exciting.
Whereas I don't know if that's very common nowadays. I mean, I don't even really send Christmas cards now, because I don't know,
I don't either.
doesn't really. I don't know. It's just kind of fell out of favour. I think it's not so common anymore.
Yeah, I don't send them, and we don't really receive them either. No. I think it's not very a popular custom as it used to be.
Yeah, I think before it kind of made more sense. I remember when I was young, actually, another memory I have is my mum would write some Christmas cards for our neighbours, and then she would give me the cards and be like, okay, go and post it through our neighbour's door. And I'd always be scared that they'd like open the door whilst I was there. But yeah, that used to be quite common, but maybe now, because we just have phones, we can just message each other Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I purposely don't send Christmas cards because I think it's a waste of paper.
I do agree with that, because I receive a Christmas card, I put it like on somewhere in my house for like a few days, and then what do I do with it? I throw it away. So it just feels a bit like a waste, I think.
I think it's definitely a fallen out tradition.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite Christmas memory specifically that comes to mind?
Favourite Christmas memory? That's a tough one. I mean, I have a few memories. I mean, this is more like present related rather than actual memory, I suppose. Well, then again, one of the main, I guess, sort of recurring happy memories I have of like Christmas when I was younger is, like I said, we'd go to my nan's house in like the afternoon, evening, after we'd had our dinner and played with our presents. And sometimes my younger relatives would also be there, and we'd like play with our presents together. And I remember one year I got like a Nintendo DS or something.
Of course.
And my nephew also got one, and so I was sitting in the living room and he was sitting in like the hallway, and we had Picto Chat open.
Oh my god,
where if you never use it, it's basically like you can draw things and write things and then send it to people on like the DS. And so we were sitting in separate rooms just sending each other messages.
Wow, love that. Yeah, I definitely remember getting a DS when I was a kid and being like, this is the best day ever.
Yeah, that and like playing like the Nintendo Wii as well. I feel like that was a great present to get at Christmas, because it was kind of like a physical thing that you could do with like other family members as well. So I sort of remember like playing Just Dance and stuff like that at Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my favourite Christmas memory is very recent. And it's probably, I think it was last year or the year before, and it's just, I like to make a deal out of decorating for Christmas. I like to put Christmas music on and, you know, all the Christmas decorations out and do it all at once and just dance around and have a fun time. And last year and the year before, doing that was so lovely. And I think there is a very lovely thing about making new Christmas memories.
Yeah.
Lots of Christmas memories are associated with your youth and your childhood, and they're lovely and they're nostalgic, but I do think it's also nice to still have that love for Christmas even now. So I'd say my favourite Christmas memory is that. that is, you did touch on a question I wanted to ask though, is do you have a favourite Christmas present that you ever got?
Wow, there's a lot that I was very happy about, I guess, at the time. But I wouldn't say this is my favourite one, but maybe the most memorable one. I remember one year my granddad, like a few weeks before Christmas usually is when like family members will come and bring presents just so you have them for like in the future. And so I remember he bought around this really big box that, you know, at the time I was probably like 5, so it was probably
even bigger.
It was probably just like a little bit smaller than me at the time. It was probably like this big. And I remember he bought it round, it was like obviously wrapped up, and obviously I wasn't allowed to open it until Christmas. And so it was just in our living room and I was staring at it being like, oh, what is it? And then one day I like scraped like a tiny bit of the paper. I know, terrible.
Tony.
I broke like a tiny bit of the paper so I could like maybe guess what it was. And I looked and I was like, I don't know what it is still. I saw some like plastic and stuff and I was like, oh, I don't know what it is. And then I think I remember opening it at the end and it was like a big doll's house.
Oh.
It was either a big doll's house or like a big, like, what do you call it, like a doll or something like that. But I just remember, I don't even really remember the present that much. I just remember that anticipation of being like, oh, what could it possibly be? Why is it so big?
So I was never the child that was like, I need to look, I need to go find my presents. I'm very okay with waiting. I think so. I never really kind of was like, oh my god, I need to know. But I think that's also because we didn't have the Christmas presents underneath the tree. Mainly because we had cats, we had pets.
Yeah.
But I know that is something, is that more American? I don't know, like...
I mean, what we do in my house is we put the presents under the tree in the lead up to Christmas just so it looks nice.
Yeah.
But then on Christmas Day in the morning, I guess, my parents would take all the presents and line them all up on our sofa just so they were kind of there and I could see them all and it was easier to get them.
We didn't ever have, like, the presents underneath the tree during the lead up to Christmas. But, you know, Christmas like, because that was the surprise. It's like, oh my god, Santa's, Father Christmas has been. So you wake up on Christmas Day and all the presents are suddenly all magically there. But one thing also which we haven't touched on is the tradition of leaving something for Father Christmas.
Yeah.
Now, in British tradition, and I mean, I don't do it anymore because I'm not a child, but I would definitely do it for my future children, is we leave out a mince pie for Santa, or Father Christmas as we call him, and a carrot for Rudolph.
Yeah.
And sometimes I remember doing it, and I know some people also do it, but I don't think it's as widely common, is leaving a beer out for Santa as well, which is a very British thing, I think. So if you don't know, a mince pie is a small pastry tart which has spiced, a spiced fruit filling. So it's not actually minced meat. It is like oranges and sultanas and raisins all mixed up in like a I don't even know what you call it, like a chutney almost. And it's spiced and it's in a pastry case. Now I personally am not keen on them, but it's tradition to have them at Christmas. So yeah, we'd leave out a mince pie for Father Christmas and a Rudolph for Santa, a carrot for Rudolph, and then, as I said, sometimes we'd leave out a beer. Did you do the same thing? Was that?
Yeah, we had a very similar tradition, except we were a bit looser with the food, I guess you could say. So I definitely remember one specific year what we did was, I guess one of my family members bought it, where it was like a little key, and attached to the key was like a bag of like almost like glitter, and it was said that the key was for Santa and the glitter was like for the reindeers. And so I went outside and I tied the key to the outside of my door so Santa could get in, and then I like spread the glitter.
That's very cute.
It was very cute. And then inside the house we would leave some sort of drink for Santa and some sort of like food. It wasn't usually really the traditional ones. If we had a carrot, we'd put a carrot for Rudolph. If not, we'd put like an apple or something. And usually for food we'd just put like a biscuit or, I don't know, sausage roll, or just kind of whatever general leftover food we had. Yeah. And maybe a glass of milk or something. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely remember being quite strict to his mince pie and a carrot.
Santa would not bring your presents otherwise.
No, he wouldn't. He must be rewarded for his present giving. I actually grew up in a house that doesn't have a chimney either. Oh yeah. So we had like when I was a child, we had like a small little key, like you said, that we like a wooden key that we put on the door, and there was like a little sign that said Santa stop here, because traditionally Santa Father Christmas comes down the chimney. But Christmas is so subjective to each household, but I do think there is an underlying current that every British household does.
Yeah, for sure.
Which kind of is just a classic British Christmas.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you say about the fireplace, because I never really thought about it, but yeah, I guess it's very traditional that he like comes down the fire, then the chimney. But yeah, in our house we do have a chimney, but our fire that's in front of it has like a gate on it, and it's kind of like, so I guess that's why we put the key there, because you'd be trapped if you came down that way. So I never really thought about it at the time, but yeah, you kind of need to come in the door. So
well, it's been really lovely to reminisce on our Christmas memories, and it's just making me a lot more excited for this year's Christmas, and also for Christmases to come. I feel like Christmas loses its shine a little bit when you kind of are in your teen years and you come out of the haze of Father Christmas being real and things like that. But it's kind of nice to get back into the love of it.
Yeah, this is true. It's nice looking back on childhood memories, but I think it's also nice to think about how we'll make new memories going forward as well.
Yeah, new memories, new traditions, definitely. Well, if you did enjoy this podcast, please leave us a comment down below and tell us your favourite Christmas memory or your favourite Christmas present. And if you do not celebrate Christmas, or you don't celebrate it the same way that we do, let us know what you do at December time in your country. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.